Okay, welcome everybody. Try not to be cranky right now because I tried to record this 2 other times, thought I was successful. First time mic broke, second time I was so quiet, which is a problem because I'm very soft spoken. So, hopefully, this is technological issues out of the way, and we'll get right on to Chaos Magic 101. We're going to not do sigils for the time being and just focus on reality selection for this installment and other topics for the foreseeable installments of the series. So, reality selection. I see a lot of people use this synonymously with chaos magic, and it's often spun in a negative way. Usually, people say, chaos magicians do not have beliefs. Oh, those silly chaos magicians. When will they ever learn? Firstly, chaos magicians do have beliefs, even if their core belief is chaos magic theory itself. That is still a belief. It's useful to have core beliefs to be able to systematize your psychological programming that will most effectively apply chaos magic to physical reality using your psychological reality. That's how I explain it. Other chaos magicians will kind of use different terms and explanations for how that all works out, but that's not going to be our main focus right now. Right now, we're focusing on how, and before that, why reality selection is useful. I listed some things on the screen. Basically, reality selection is useful because you gain insider or emic, if you want a fancy term, insight into practices, which can be useful. It's useful for gaining experience, both manual and psychological. And you also can control how you expand your horizons and magical vocabulary this way. So, how do people do that? You can just decide to do it. You don't need any fancy methods. But I'd argue this is probably one of the more dangerous ways to do it as well, because especially since more people are being open now about exactly what they practice and how they practice it, especially online, there are things to consider where it might be dangerous to openly express what you're doing psychologically into your physical reality. For example, I've actually seen this suggested, which is why I'm using this as an example. And this is also a topic that I know quite a bit about because I had to study it to get my degree and stuff. But let's say that people or a person selects their reality and say, I will be Muslim for a month. So, first question, what does being a Muslim mean? And I ask that because one of the professors I had who taught a class on the academic study of Islam, her exact words were, "The only thing you need to be a Muslim is to honestly, sincerely say, there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his prophet." Or no God but God. But at the same time, there are societal expectations both in Muslim society and in the outsider perspective of what Islam looks like. For example, praying 7 times a day towards Mecca, going on a pilgrimage, donating a certain amount of money. If you become Muslim during Ramadan, does that mean you practice Ramadan? If you, for example, let's say that 1 month period is up, are you going to be considered an apostate? Because being an apostate is dangerous. When you become one from Islam or even some Christian sects. So choosing how open you are about what you're doing, or even how you're going about selecting your reality, is crucial, because your physical reality is different from your psychological reality. And sometimes, if you manifest your psychological reality in a certain way within the physical realm, that's dangerous. So I feel like that's something not a lot of people talk about when they talk about reality selection. And so I am just putting this out there. Be careful when you do this stuff. And it's not just because suddenly changing reality is dangerous. I'd argue that's less dangerous because you are at least mentally prepared for it if you're even doing half of the stuff in Chaos Magic. But physically, your reality can also be dangerous, and if the two don't match up and you're perceiving the danger, that can lead to some very unfortunate situations. So let's go over a couple of more controlled methods on how to select your reality. So dice selection method is one that Peter Carroll himself kind of gave instructions on how to do, although I have seen it a few more times, at least 2 other times, one of which in a book, another book. But basically, the gist of the method is you get a dice, or 1 die, multiple die, as long as you have as many sides as you do realities, or you can divide it evenly. It doesn't really matter. You can even use a coin if you're just choosing between 2 belief systems, or you have a method to choose multiple beliefs between multiple belief systems. But basically, you choose your belief systems, and you can grab your D20 and write down every kind of paganism you can think of, or all the sects of Christianity you can fit on there. It doesn't really matter, as long as you know what you're doing and you're willing to dedicate yourself about an equal amount of time to all of them. Basically, you just roll the die, and you dedicate yourself to that belief system for that set amount of time. So that's basically the dice method. It's more useful for temporary belief, which is why it got a little more popular in, I guess you could call them pure chaos magic, or maybe even traditional chaos magic circles, because it's effective, it's random, and it kind of helps a lot to be able to have that kind of method to the madness, so to speak. Now for the other reality selection method. The 8-circuit model of consciousness, or of the brain. So this was popularized by Robert Anton Wilson. Most people will recommend you'll read Wilson's book Prometheus Rising in order to familiarize yourself with the 8-circuit model. You don't need to do that, but I'd say that's good advice. If you just want to see how it works in chaos magic or jump right into using that method, I recommend the book Angel Tech. To kind of give a summary on how the method is applied. Basically, this model says there are 8 modes of consciousness. They range from Circuit 1, which is basically basic survival baby needs like food security and need of nurturing and such, to Circuit 8, which is God consciousness. So you can see how that would be helpful addressing like different needs of each circuit, and in the higher circuits exploring spirituality and kind of a hierarchical perspective and such. It's a method that is more effective for long-term reality change rather than selection, but a lot of the methods you'll find both in Prometheus Rising and Angel Tech are also useful for temporary selection of reality. And so those are the 2 main methods, or 3 rather, if just side is considered a method. So there are more ways to do reality selection, but I'll leave it at that for now because you can be creative with this. And these are just some examples. Hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching or listening. If you like what you see, consider subscribing. I try to post a new video every other Saturday. And I hope to see you around.